All right, thanks everyone. Like Mandy mentioned, my name is Tim Watson, and I am one of our regional biologists in our Region 5 Warrensburg office, and among other things, I cover our upland game birds. I'm going to give you a brief update on status and trends of both our rough grouse and woodcock in New York, some information on habitat management and how hunters can get involved in some of our surveys, logs, and data collection, so we can help better manage our grouse and woodcock species. Our first slide here, just showing some grouse flushing rates. This is also just what we know as birds flush per hour. This is from our past year's data. And this data is all collected from our grouse and woodcock hunting log. You can see stronger numbers of grouse in the Adirondacks, Tug Hill, and Catskills, west over to the East Appalachian Plateau. This generally coincides with our longer term flush rates from our log data, but it's among some of our lower observed data sets over the last 15 years. These declines are likely related to declining habitat quantity and quality on a landscape scale that's limiting grouse in survival and productivity. Really in like the 1960s through the 80s, grouse were at their height. This coincides with large scale farm abandonment across the state, leading to large amounts of prime grouse habitat. But over the decades, this habitat has continued to mature without proper management. It's not really as suitable for grouse anymore. During the 2024 to 2025 hunting season, we had approximately 144 hunters that participated in the hunting log. They recorded over 1,200 hunting trips, just shy of 3,000 hours of field, and over 200 grouse flushed. Here you'll see our flushing rates. This is over the last 20 years, also from our hunting log data. The graph on the right shows the statewide flush rates over that same time. This shows a slight downward trend from about one bird per hour in the early 2000s to one bird every 2 hours over the last few years. And again, the main reason for this trend is likely habitat based. I'll talk a little bit more later on about some programs looking to create more grouse habitat across the state, but also, but the DEC is also looking at potential declines related to West Nile virus through a research project we have with some of our partners over at SUNY ESF. This chart provides some grouse productivity data. It shows the northern, western, and southeastern portions of the state. And this is all from 2018 through our 2024 seasons. And as you recall, this data is collected from our grouse parts collection effort. So productivity in the spring of 2024 seemed to be favorable, but data from the parts collection effort showed a different trend. And really the spring of 2025 was fairly wet, so grouse productivity is assumed to be fairly low. But I've heard from some hunters that have been out scouting that they've seen decent grouse numbers in northern New York, at least. So, spring weather can certainly impact grouse productivity to a certain extent, but it's by no means the only factor at play, like some people think. Grouse drumming rates per aggregate are shown in this map from the 2025 spring turkey hunting season. You can see a similar pattern to our hunting log data with higher numbers in northern New York and parts of southeastern New York and the East Appalachian Plateau aggregates. The graph on the right shows the statewide averages from 2007 to 2025, which is fairly stable. Some promising news regarding grouse management has come out of the Eastern Grouse Working Group. Biologists and non-government organization partners have worked together to develop a conservation plan for grouse management throughout the eastern United States. This plan really helps to highlight the priority for grouse management, some attainable goals for seeing more habitat management being done in New York and throughout the eastern United States. And this is something that is available for anyone to review online. Each year, the Fish and Wildlife Service puts out their population status for woodcock. This report is based off of two main data collection efforts. The first and kind of a larger scale one is a long-running singing ground survey project that spans all states and provinces where woodcock nest. And it's put on by staff and volunteers. They drive routes each spring when woodcock males are singing to attract mates. And this report is available online to the public and is published each summer. The second piece of information that factors into this report is collection and identification of hunter-harvested woodcock wings that are submitted through the Fish and Wildlife Service. The report shows a gradual long-term decline in woodcock numbers throughout the majority of the range from the late 60s to present. This map shows statistically significant declines shown in gray and non-statistically significant declines in striped pattern. And really the only state that we see here that has not shown some sort of decline over that time period is Minnesota. Not all of Minnesota, since that is about the farthest west that woodcock will breed. But over the last 10 years, the results are a little bit more mixed. They still show a decline in New York State. From some of our hunting logs, log data, the statewide woodcock flush rate last year was about 0.51 flushes per hour. That's a little bit below the long-term average of 0.59 birds flush per hour and below the 2023 flush rate of 0.69 flushes per hour. The highest woodcock flush rates occurred in St. Lawrence Valley, Central Hudson Valley, and Lake Plains ecoregion. And while flush rates are lowest in the coastal lowlands and the Appalachian Hills and Plateau ecoregions, so kind of the southern tier of the state. From 2010 to 2025, the flush rates has varied quite a bit by year, but it's been relatively stable over that 15-year period. The Fish and Wildlife Services Harvest Information Program, or HIP program, that's the number that everyone gets when they're out to allow them to go out duck hunting or woodcock hunting or any of our migratory game birds. And it recorded in 2024, approximately 51 hunters in New York harvested approximately 4,700 woodcock and spent an estimated 22,100 days afield. One of the biggest research projects related to woodcock in recent time has been the Woodcock Migration Project. This encompasses 14 states and 3 provinces working together to capture and mark over 690 woodcock throughout their breeding and wintering grounds. Over 38,000 woodcock GPS locations have been collected as of spring 2024. And this has really collected a wealth of data to allow us to better understand migration patterns, habitat usage, and productivity. The project has its own website where a wealth of research and management information can be found. This includes publications that have come from the project and its partners. I think the coolest feature of the website though is that it has a migration data map, and this will show woodcock migration data over time. So it can really give you a better understanding of when woodcock are migrating, what areas they like to migrate through. And the hope is that the result of this project will provide more habitat management and really focus in on where management needs to be done, and that it'll benefit breeding and migratory woodcock throughout the range. Interesting note from this project shows that most woodcock that are from New York State typically start their migration during the first 2 weeks of November. A variety of habitat management work is conducted on lands managed by the DEC. The one notable one that a lot of folks have heard about is the Young Forest Initiative. That's a program that's headed up our land management staff to create and restore young forests on wildlife management areas across the state. And this is something that should benefit grouse and woodcock population in those immediate areas. In addition, our Division of Lands and Forests, they're always hard at work conducting habitat management projects on our state forests throughout the state. And you can find more information about the Young Forest Initiative on that page on our website, or reach out to any of our land management staff in any of our local DEC offices. Um, Wildlife management area specific information can also be found on our website, as we have a page for each WMA to provide for more information. And the same can be said for all of our state forests having their own specific pages. Um, and I know that both our land management staff and our lands and forest staff are always enjoy talking with members of the public about habitat management, and especially in in specific areas that they have interest in. For anyone interested in information on habitat management on private properties, there are several programs out there that can assist with developing and implementing management plans on your property. You can find information about all of these programs with a quick internet search, or reach out to your local DEC lands and forest staff. DEC also maintains a list of cooperating foresters that can assist with forest management implementation on your property. Um, there's also a full list of our conservation easements on our website, and many of these are privately owned properties that conduct forest management, but they also allow public access for things like hunting. So those can be, some of the better places um, for finding grouse and woodcock, especially in Region 5 and 6. Information on DEC lands or conservation easements that are accessible to hunting and other activities can also be found on DEC's Info Locator program. This is an interactive map that shows DEC lands, other publicly accessible lands like conservation easements, wildlife management boundaries, trails, parking areas, and many other items of interest. There are even other base maps that you can choose from to show satellite imagery where grouse and woodcock hunting habitats can be more easily located. Um, there's also plenty of private mapping applications out there that will help show you public and private land ownership, and these can be really helpful with finding good grouse and woodcock spots. Most of the information I discussed in this section is derived from these following 3 data sources. So they're very important in us to be able to effectively monitor our grouse and woodcock populations so that we can make sound management decisions. The grouse and woodcock hunting log is a brief entry that you fill out each time you return from a field, and provides invaluable data to us on grouse and woodcock numbers throughout the state. The more participants we have, the more accurate the data we can collect, and the better our harvest and population monitoring is. So, we will take all the participants that we can get with our grouse and woodcock hunting logs. And applicants can request by phone or email this log, and also provide some information a few slides later for how to sign up if you're interested. The grouse parts collection is another easy way that hunters can assist with data collection of harvested birds, and involves a collection of specific feathers that allow us to determine both the age and sex of the bird. This is really our best means of determining grouse productivity from the spring immediately following the hunting season. And this kind of closely aligns with um, our grouse and woodcock hunting log. It's kind of a packet that all gets sent together. Lastly, we've got our rough grouse drumming survey. This is for all you spring turkey hunters out there. This gives us a really good estimate of the occupancy of grouse throughout New York State, since the presence of grouse is pretty easily determined in the springtime when males are heard drumming to attract females to breed with. Over a longer period, this data can provide good insight as to if grouse populations in an area are trending up or down, or are relatively stable. And like I mentioned, for anyone that wants to participate, um, whether that be you're a grouse hunter, you're a woodcock hunter, or you're a spring turkey hunter, please consider partaking in one or all of these efforts. I've provided both the links to our websites as well as QR codes that you can scan with your phone. I've also provided the third QR code down, and the third link down is our grouse harvest data dashboard. And this is something that helps us to provide members of the public with a wealth of data um, on our grouse harvest, grouse productivity, drumming rates. That's all available on that grouse harvest data dashboard. And you can look at specific parts of the state that you're interested in or that you might hunt or want to hunt in. And I'll leave this up for a short period of time so that folks can follow those links or scan the QR codes. And just a reminder, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put those in the Q&A and we'll make sure to get those answered. Thanks.